What if the secret to instant abundance isn't a complex ritual or a hidden guru, but something you already possess? We're diving into Joel Goldsmith's revolutionary AM meditation to uncover how this ancient spiritual truth can be your direct, tangible path to manifesting prosperity right here, right now in your modern life. Prepare to redefine what's possible. So let's cut to the chase today. We're all running this rat race, chasing the bag, trying to manifest more cash, more peace, more joy, you name it. And we're doing it the hard way, scratching and hustling on the outside, feeling like it's a constant grind. But Goldsmith dropped a secret weapon, and it ain't a 10-step hustle plan. It's the I AM meditation. And I'm not talking about some woo-woo chant it and wish hard thing. This is the real deal. This is about tapping into the ultimate power source, not out there, but in here, and realizing that the instant you connect with your true I am, the whole idea of lack just ghosts. It vanishes, because you're plugging into the source of all abundance itself. We're talking instant access, right here in the middle of your crazy modern life. Stick with me, because I'm about to break down how this isn't magic. It's metaphysics for the modern go-getter. And by the end of this, you're going to see your whole world different. So, if this hits for you, if it unlocks something, do me a solid smash that like button, drop a 777 in the comments if you're ready to claim that divine flow, and subscribe to keep this channel growing. Trust me, you won't want to miss what we're diving into next. So let's get down to brass tacks with the first and only place this whole thing starts, the inside job. See, the world's got you thinking abundance is something you go out and grab. It's the promotion, the perfect partner, the bank account that finally hits a certain number. We're conditioned to look for the source out there. We're like someone sitting in a house with all the lights off, convinced the power company has to personally deliver a flashlight to every single room. It's a hustle that leaves you exhausted because you're always chasing the next thing, believing that thing is the source of your peace, your security, your worth. Joel Goldsmith cuts through that noise with a sledgehammer. He says the I am that you are, not the I am your job title, or I am your bank balance, or I am your relationship status, but the pure, silent, aware presence that is reading these words right now, that is the only source, period. Everything else is an outlet. Everything else is a form that the current flowing from, that source takes. You are not a beggar at the door of the universe hoping for scraps. You are the very dwelling place of the infinite. The supply isn't coming down to you. It's flowing from you, from this center of conscious being that we point to when we say, I am. Think about that for a second. It flips the entire script of your life. Your I am is the factory, not the showroom. All manifestation, all form, all experience. It doesn't get manufactured in the circumstances. It gets issued forth from this ground of being. When you feel lack, it's because you've mistaken yourself for the showroom window, empty and waiting for a shipment. You've identified with the temporary condition, not the permanent producer. Goldsmith's whole approach is a radical return to the producer. He teaches you to turn your attention away from the empty, feeling rooms of your life and to walk right back into the powerhouse, the quiet, potent space of your own being. This is why the meditation he teaches isn't about visualizing stacks of cash or repeating affirmations you don't believe. That's just decorating the showroom window and hoping someone notices. That's still begging, just with fancier words. True, I am meditation is the act of pulling the main switch in the powerhouse. It's sitting in the silence, not to send out a wish list, but to become aware of the hum of the generators. It's the practice of knowing yourself as the source until that knowing isn't a theory anymore. It's a felt sense, a concrete reality. You aren't meditating to get something. You are meditating to be what you are. And from that state of being, all forms of good naturally, effortlessly organize themselves in your outer world. The forms aren't the abundance. The consciousness of being the source is the abundance. and the forms are just the shadows that consciousness casts. So the work is never about fixing the shadows. It's about turning up the light. And the light switch is your own awareness, rooted in the profound, unshakable truth of I am. Now, if you really let that sink in, if you truly get that your I am is the powerhouse, the main generator, then the whole frantic activity of your life undergoes a seismic shift. This is where we hit the second key: stop the chase. Because if the source is within, then running around on the outside looking for it isn't just tiring, it's a complete category error. It's like having $1 trillion in your vault, but running down the street panhandling for loose change, because you forgot the combination. That's the human condition Goldsmith is pointing us out of. We're spiritual billionaires acting like paupers, and all that hustling is just a symptom of that amnesia. Abundance, in this profound sense, has nothing to do with the amount of stuff in your garage or digits in your account. Those are just temporary forms, here today and transformed tomorrow. Real abundance is a state of knowing. It's the unshakable, internal conviction of your own completeness as a center of divine expression. It's the quiet certainty that because you are, and because what you are is connected to the infinite wellspring, you cannot be lacking. You can only be experiencing a temporary forgetfulness. The chase is what happens when you're identified with that forgetfulness. You think the feeling of emptiness can be filled by an object, a person, an achievement. So you run after it, and maybe you catch it, and for a glorious 5 minutes you feel full. But then, because you haven't addressed the inner vacancy, the feeling creeps back in and you're off chasing the next thing. It's the world's most exhausting video game. Goldsmith teaches us to step off that hamster wheel. The moment you turn within and touch that I am presence, you are, by definition, in a state of abundance. Why? Because you are in conscious contact with the only substance there is. You're not thinking about God or supply, you're ever aware of being the very activity of it. In that awareness, what is there to chase? What could you possibly need to add to your fundamental being? The chase implies a distance between you and what you want. But in truth, there is no separation between you and the source of all good. The good you seek is the very nature of the I am, you are. So the practice becomes one of standing still, of letting the chase fall away like a heavy backpack you finally realize you can put down. This is the radical part. The world says, if you're not hustling, you're falling behind. The spiritual truth says, if you're still hustling, you're affirming lack. Stopping the chase is an act of immense spiritual power. It's a declaration. I am not a beggar. I am a beholder of the infinite. From that settled, knowing place, action still happens, but it's not frantic, lack-driven chasing. It's inspired movement. It's the infinite expressing itself through you as right ideas, right opportunities, right actions. You're not running to catch the train. You're the station from which the train departs. Your job is to maintain the station in perfect order, knowing that all traffic flows to and from it according to a perfect, divine schedule. The peace that comes from this is the first and most tangible form of abundance. It's the space where all true creation begins. When you know you are the source, you stop looking for the stream and you become the spring. And a spring doesn't chase water, it simply effortlessly overflows. This brings us to the practical engine of it all, the moment where theory becomes tangible experience, the instant shift. This is where many teachings get it twisted. They turn meditation into a spiritual transaction, a kind of holy begging. You sit down, you list your desires, you visualize your dream car, you essentially hand a cosmic order form to God and hope he's in a good mood. That's not what this is. That approach still sees you as separate over here, and the good stuff as separate over there, with the meditation as a bridge you build to try and get it. It's exhausting, and it reinforces the very lack you're trying to escape. Goldsmith reframes meditation entirely. Think of it not as a begging bowl, but as a power plug. You're not in your session to ask for anything. You are there to plug your individual awareness directly into the main grid of infinite consciousness, your own I am, nature. The begging bowl approach says, I am empty, please fill me. The power plug approach says, I am the conduit, let the current flow. It's a shift from an attitude of petition to an attitude of reception. But you're not receiving a thing, you're receiving the awareness of your own divine identity. You're not asking for abundance, you're plugging into the consciousness that is abundance itself. This is why the shift can be instant. It doesn't take time to change your fundamental reality. It only takes a shift in recognition. It's like walking through your house in the dark, stumbling over furniture, feeling cramped and limited. Then your hand finds the light switch. You don't have to slowly build the light. You flick it, and in an instant the entire nature of the room is revealed. The space wasn't small, it was just dark. The obstacles weren't inherent to the room, they were artifacts of your blindness. Meditation, in this I am context, is that act of finding the switch. The switch is your attention turning away from the dark, fearful, limited thoughts of the personal self and resting upon the silent, affirming presence of I am. In that instant of pure contact, the light of truth floods your awareness. You see, perhaps only for a glorious second, that you are not the stumbling person in the dark. You are the room, you are the space, and you are the very light now filling it. That moment of contact is the manifestation. The outer forms, the solved problem, the new opportunity, the sense of peace are not the miracle. They are the inevitable, logical shadows cast by the new light in the room. They show up because the inner condition has changed. You didn't manifest the forms, you manifested the consciousness, and the forms rearranged themselves to match it. So the practice is to seek the connection, not the consequence. Go to your meditation not for a better job, but for the experience of being the boundless source from which all right action flows. Don't sit there chanting for a healing, sit there until you feel the reality of wholeness that is your true nature. Knowing any appearance of disease is just shadow in an unlit corner. When you make that plug in, the current does what current does. It energizes, it illuminates, it empowers. Your outer world has no choice but to mirror that new, higher voltage. The manifestation was instant the moment you plugged in. It just takes a little time for the visible world to catch up to the spiritual fact. Your only work is to stay plugged in, to live from that charged state, and let the forms take care of themselves. And this leads us to the ultimate empowerment, the realization that dissolves all spiritual bureaucracy, no middleman. This is a cornerstone of Goldsmith's message, and it liberates you from a lifetime of seeking interpreters. Think about the common spiritual marketplace. It's full of intermediaries. We look to gurus, to sacred text, complex rituals, to specific prayers, even to metaphysical rules and formulas, as the necessary conduits to get a message to headquarters. We act as if we need a translator for a language we innately speak. It's like having a direct, open phone line to the infinite, and instead spending your life waiting in line at the post office to send a telegram, hoping it gets there and that someone will send a reply back by carrier pigeon. It's an exhausting delay of the inevitable. Goldsmith shatters that model. The relationship between you and the infinite is a direct dial. There is no switchboard operator, no spiritual secretary screening your calls. The I am in you is not separate from the great I am of the universe. It is the same substance, the same consciousness individualized. This means your access is unimpeded and immediate. You don't need a technique to get God's attention. You are God's attention, focused here and now. The moment you sink into the silence of your own being, you are not reaching out to something far away. You are diving into the very thing you are made of. The connection isn't established, it's recognized. It was never broken. You just hung up the phone and forgot you could pick it back up any time. This truth removes the last vestiges of spiritual superstition and dependency. You don't need a special mantra bought from a specific teacher. You don't need to be in a certain posture facing a particular direction. You don't need to align your request with the phases of the moon or any other external condition. Those can all become subtle middlemen, things you believe you must have to make the connection valid. The direct dial number is simply your own conscious awareness, turned inward in a moment of quiet surrender. The I am meditation is the act of picking up that receiver and listening. The voice on the other end is your own, because it's all one line. The guidance, the peace, the knowing, it flows not from an external deity to an unworthy supplicant, but from the center of your being to the surface of your life. This is why the practice is so profoundly simple and why the intellect often rebels against it. It wants a manual, a protocol, a guaranteed method. The direct dial requires none of that. It requires only the courage to be still and know. It means taking full, radical responsibility for your spiritual life. You can't blame a guru for misleading you or a teaching for failing you. The connection is yours and yours alone to maintain. This isn't a lonely idea, it's the most intimate truth possible. It means the wisdom of the ages, the creative power of the universe, the answering presence to every need. It's not in a book on a shelf. It's on the other end of a line that is permanently open, and the receiver is built into the very core of your existence. Your entire seeking, then, becomes an inward journey to the telephone that's been ringing in a quiet room within you your whole life. The answer to every call is the same: I am here. And when you hear that, you realize you were never calling out. You were just listening for the echo of your own true voice. So, with this direct line humming in your awareness, the question becomes stunningly practical. What does this look like on a random Tuesday? This is where the rubber meets the road, the modern application. It's the difference between a beautiful philosophy that lives on a meditation cushion and a living truth that transforms your daily grind. Because let's be real, talking about the infinite while staring at a stack of bills, a flooded inbox, or a relationship headache can feel like spiritual science fiction. But that's the precise point of integration. This isn't an escape from life, it's the infusion of life with its true source. The application is not about using the I am like a magic wand to make specific problems vanish. That's just more begging, just with a fancier, more spiritual label. The modern application is about shifting your point of origin for every response. From bills to bliss, it all flows from one tap, that conscious connection to your source. When the bill arrives, the old, conditioned you jumps into a frenzy of lack, calculating, worrying, scheming on how to get money. The applied practice means pausing even for 10 seconds to return to the tap. To remember, I am is the source of all form. My good is not dependent on this paper. It flows from my consciousness of supply. This doesn't make the bill disappear. It first dissolves the panic, the sense of poverty. You meet the circumstance from a state of inner provision, not inner lack. Your actions then become intelligent, guided, and effective, or not desperate and fearful. The same goes for every facet of modern life, that overwhelming inbox. Before diving in and reacting from a place of pressure and fragmentation, you take a breath and connect to the tap. You remember your I am is the source of infinite intelligence and right timing. You then approach the tasks from a center of orderly power, not scattered reactivity. What a conflict with someone. Instead of reacting from hurt ego or anger, you retreat to the tap. You remember the I am in you is the same I am in them. You see past the surface behavior to the shared divinity, and your response, whether it's a firm boundary or compassionate understanding, comes from wholeness, not from woundedness. Even the pursuit of joy and creativity changes. You don't seek bliss from a vacation, a purchase, or a cocktail. You turn to the tap, touch the inner wellspring of peace and joy that is your nature, and then you go on vacation. The external experience then becomes an expression of your inner state, not the creator of it. This is modern alchemy. You are not trying to change the lead of your circumstances by beating on it with positive thinking. You are touching the circumstances with the gold of your true consciousness. You are living from the cause rather than being at the effect of the world. The traffic jam, the missed deadline, the personal loss, none of these are denied. But they are met from a different ground of being. They are met from the tap, not from the temporary, empty bucket of the personal self. The flow from that one source adapts to every situation. It becomes wisdom in confusion, calm in chaos, solution in problem, and presence in loneliness. Your life ceases to be a series of problems to be solved and becomes a series of opportunities to express the infinite in finite form. The modern application is simply this: in every moment, before you act or react, remember where you live. You live at the source. Everything you need is downstream from that point. Your only job is to stay at the headwaters. And here we arrive at the crossroads between inspiration and embodiment. This is where the path diverges from the pleasant to the profound. It's the final, non-negotiable key, your move. All of this sublime theory, this revolutionary understanding of your I am as the direct, abundant source, amounts to a beautiful philosophy if it stays in the realm of ideas. Goldsmith was relentless about this. You must move from the auditorium of listening to the laboratory of living. This isn't about adopting a new set of spiritual beliefs to philosophize over. It's about the consistent daily practice of living from the truth of what you are. It's about practice, not philosophy. To live from the I am is the active verb of this teaching. It means making that conscious turn inward your default setting, not a weekend retreat. It means when anxiety bites, you don't just mentally agree that peace is your nature. You stop, you close your eyes if you have to, and you actively seek the feeling of that peace at the center of your being. You practice until the shift from fear to source becomes quicker, more automatic. When a desire arises, you don't just launch into worldly effort fueled by a sense of need. You first bring that desire to the I am and release it there, not to get it, but to infuse the desire itself with the consciousness of already being complete. You then take action, but it's action that feels like an overflow, not a grind. The practice is in the pause. The practice is in the redirection of your attention from the storm on the surface to the stillness at the depth. This is where many falter because the ego mind, the old chasing self, will protest. It will call this a waste of time. It will demand immediate, visible results and insist that doing something in the outer world is the only real work. But the real work is the inner alignment. The practice is the repetitive, sometimes dry, often challenging act of returning to the well when you're thirsty, instead of running to every empty pond in the desert. You're building a new neural pathway, a new spiritual instinct. You're learning to consult your inner compass before following every external map. Goldsmith didn't promise it would always feel ecstatic. He promised it would be transformative. The practice is the commitment to know the truth about yourself until that knowledge is more real to you than the appearance screaming in your face. It's choosing, moment by moment, to identify with the limitless I am rather than the limited story of your personal history or current circumstances. This is spiritual discipline in its purest form, not discipline of rigid rules, but discipline of attention. It's the discipline of pulling your consciousness back, again and again, from the enticing drama of the world and anchoring it in the silent, potent fact of your being. You stop talking about God and you start experiencing the I am as the very substance of your thought, your breath, your awareness. From that anchored place, life is no longer something that happens to you. It is something that flows through you, and you become a conscious co-creator, not a victim of circumstance. The forms will change, the outer demonstrations will unfold in their right timing, but your foundation will no longer be shaken by their coming or going. You will have moved your home address from the shifting sands of effect to the unshakable rock of cause. And that move is made not in a single grand gesture, but in the quiet, persistent, daily return to who you are before anything else gets added to the story.